Americans for Fair Taxation presents the Weekly Chairman's Report, written by Steve Hayes, president of Americans for Fair Taxation, and recorded by Bob Paxton, a volunteer with the Florida FAIRtax Educational Association. And now, this week's Chairman's Report.
Hello, I'm Bob Paxton with the AFFT Chairman's Report for Friday, June 12th, 2026. How the FAIRtax could help reduce inflation by increasing the supply of goods. Inflation is often described as too many dollars chasing too few goods. While that phrase simplifies a complex issue, it captures an important truth. Prices rise when the supply of money and purchasing power grows faster than the supply of products and services available for purchase. If the number of dollars in circulation increases, but the economy does not produce more goods, each dollar competes more aggressively for the same limited supply. The result is upward pressure on prices. Now, the FAIRtax will address the too few goods side of that equation by encouraging more production. Unlike the current federal income payroll tax system, which taxes wages, profits, interest, dividends, capital gains, and business income, the FAIRtax would tax final retail consumption. The FAIRtax removes federal taxes from the production process and places the tax at the point of retail sale. By doing so, the FAIRtax would stop penalizing work, saving, investment, and business expansion. Under the present income payroll tax system, businesses face corporate income taxes, payroll taxes, tax compliance costs, depreciation rules, and other federal tax burdens that raise the cost of producing goods in the United States. Now, those costs are built into the prices that we pay. They also discourage investment that would otherwise increase factories, equipment, inventory, transportation capacity, and employment. Like anything else that is punished, when production is taxed, you get less of it than you would otherwise. Under the FAIRtax, companies earn profits without federal income payroll tax, and workers earn wages without federal income payroll taxes. When all the current tax costs go away, businesses will invest in new machinery, expand facilities, hire workers, and bring production back to the United States. Investors would also have greater incentive to fund productive enterprises because returns on capital would no longer be reduced by federal income taxation. More investment means more output. More output means more products available for consumers to buy. When shelves are better stocked, supply chains are stronger, and domestic producers can respond more quickly to demand, inflationary pressure is reduced. Prices do not rise as fast when businesses can increase supply. The FAIRtax would also make American-made goods more competitive. Exports would leave the United States free of federal income and payroll tax costs, while imports sold at retail in the United States would face the same consumption tax as domestic goods. That would reduce the tax disadvantage faced by U.S. producers and could encourage more domestic manufacturing. Now, the FAIRtax will not magically eliminate inflation. Monetary policy, federal spending, energy costs, global supply chains, and consumer expectations still matter. But by removing tax barriers to production, the FAIRtax would attack one of inflation's root causes, scarcity. If inflation is more dollars chasing too few goods, then a tax system that helps create more goods is a powerful anti-inflation reform. In conclusion, the FAIRtax is more than just a proposal for a retail sales tax. It's a fundamental restructuring of the federal fiscal structure. Unlike other excise taxes, which are normally applied to specific products and in different percentage amounts, the FAIRtax applies a 23% inclusive rate to all new retail products and retail services. The FAIRtax helps all of us deal with inflation, which is not only increasing prices, but eroding the value of the money that we earn and save. The FAIRtax is the answer. The FAIRtax is a national retail sales tax on new retail goods and retail services. It provides a family credit so that all purchases up to the poverty level for each family are not taxed. There's no withholding from your paycheck, and you never have to file a tax return again telling the government how much you earned and how much you spent. Plus, you'll never be harassed by the IRS ever again because the FAIRtax abolishes the IRS. Now, many of you have labored tirelessly for freedom from the federal income tax and the IRS. You deserve a great deal of credit for your efforts to educate the American people on the need to fund the American government in a way that's good for America and returns freedom to the American people. It's imperative, though, that we don't replace the current income tax in the IRS with an alternative system that could still be manipulated by the ruling elite. We must let Congress and the President know that the best way to replace the income tax in the IRS is with the fair tax. Now, make no mistake about it. The fair tax is a grave threat to the ruling elites. It will strip them of their power and their ability to control us through the tax system. Their opposition to the fair tax will be fierce and unrelenting. And don't think for an instant they won't use half-truths, deception, and downright lies in their desperate attempts to hang on to their power. However, with the support of this president, we can finally eliminate the income tax and the IRS. Of course, the best course of action is not only to repeal the income tax and abolish the IRS, but to repeal the 16th Amendment as well, so no future administration can ever shackle the American people with an income tax again. We must come together and ensure that real tax reform, the fair tax, is not subverted by the elites in D.C. This will take the diligent effort from all of us. We need your financial assistance, and we need your grassroots assistance. Now, if you have contacts that will allow us to get more information about the fair tax to President Trump, please let us know. Please email us at info@fairtax.org, and we'll give you some options on how you can best help us. At a minimum, please call your congressional representative and ask if he or she supports the fair tax. If so, thank him or her for their support and suggest they become a co-sponsor of H.R. 25 if they're not one already. If not, ask why not. Now, if your representative claims to be unfamiliar with the fair tax, offer to have someone come to their office and explain it to them. The solution? Pass the fair tax. Now, why would D.C. pass the fair tax and give up an almost unlimited source of donations? Well, they won't, at least not voluntarily. The only way they will is if the rest of us demand it. Isn't it time to end this ludicrous tax collection system and the IRS along with it? Help us bring about real tax reform and stop future IRS abuses. By contributing or investing $10.40 a month, you help provide a financial base to Americans for fair taxation. Now, if you can make larger contributions/investments, these will be used not for salaries, as we're all volunteers, but for the needed updates to our economic studies, which will be vital for all future years. Please go to FAIRtax.org to invest in AFFT and help us pass the fair tax. It's an investment in your and your family's future.
This has been the Weekly Chairman's Report, written by Steve Hayes, President of Americans for Fair Taxation. Check back every week for news and information about the fair tax, and learn why the fair tax should replace our antiquated federal income tax system. If you'd like to receive a copy of the Chairman's Report in your inbox every week, sign up at FAIRtax.org.